Are you ready to fail? Are you ready to fail? That is the question for today. Welcome everybody to Wednesday Wisdom podcast with the incredible Mr. Cliff Freeman. I'll get to him in a minute, but one of the things that we have been kind of pushing here is gearing agents up for success in 2023. And quite frankly, if you're not planning to succeed, then you're planning to fail. So that's what today is going to be about. This is the one thing that I've noticed in my career as I have brokered and mentored and supported at this point over 10,000 agents, and over not 9,000 of them I'm still brokering and helping and supporting and mentoring and helping them grow their real estate businesses. And what I've noticed as I've seen so many people come and go, I have noticed that the ones that have planned have succeeded and the ones that have not planned have failed 100% of the time. That is the case, and it's no different as we head into this market shift, as we head into this economy. So you plan to fail or you plan to succeed. That's where we're at. Cliff Freeman, master planner. I'll let you introduce yourself. Don't let me mess up all of your list of achievements and accomplishments. I'll let you speak for yourself.
Well, Tony, I'm honored to be here and be in your presence. You're the one I look up to and always learn a lot in our conversations, and just am grateful for the job that you and your team do with with our brokerage, and it's just wonderful to be able to work with such high caliber talent like your team. So it's an honor to be here. I've had a license since 1987. I can't say I was involved just in real estate that whole time, but even my mom was a realtor back in the days, a little white house that Ebby had on Preston and Northwest Highway. And so it was kind of in my DNA, even though I fought the urge to get into real estate as hard as I could. Eventually I succumbed, and man, I really am glad that I did. The only regret that I have is just, I wish I was a little younger, when EXP came around, because it's been such a great life changer for me and my family and so many other of our good friends. And we're just, we're on a rocket ship ride right now, and it's never been more fun in my 37 years, kind of in and out of the business. But my background is primarily mortgage and real estate, and I've coached agents for about 15 years. I started back in 2008 with actually with Jay Kinder and Mike Reese at Kinder Reese back in the good old days. And I was the second coach that they brought on board, and had a great run of about 8 years with them, and then moved on to join a good friend of mine, Lars Hedenborg, at Real Estate B School, and then thank goodness found my way to EXP in 2017. But prior to that, I was an independent broker for about 9 years, and before that period, I worked for the big box realtors, was with KW, and really learned a lot. I have total ultimate respect for Gary Keller and what he built there, and that really was the foundation for me to learn the game. So we learned a lot about business planning back then. So some of what I've learned is just sort of, taking the best of the best in the different areas that I've been able to work, and kind of put everything together here for a program that we use for our team here in Dallas. And we're now at, I believe, 89 agents, hopefully to be at 100 here pretty soon. Wow. Selling real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, I think we did about 450 deals and 157 million, or I'm not really clear.
Who's counting?
Right. Since then, but we're talking with Susan McLean, and I think we cracked 200 million so far this year. So, wow. We're doing okay, and I think one of the reasons why people are attracted to our team is because we really have an education base. And, you got to learn the blocking and tackling in this business before you can get creative. And so many people, as you said in the intro here, fail to plan, and failing to plan is just planning to fail. There's no question about it. Real estate is a beaten path. We're not blazing a new trail here. Success leaves clues. And so again, because I've been able to hang around some of the top agents and work with them, top agents in the country, we sort of take the best ideas and try to wrap them up into one place. So I just finished doing 2 live trainings for my team, and we do it every year. I'll be offering another one in January that will be open to the general public, but anybody in the audience who's not prepared their business plan, just want to remind you, it is a living, breathing document, and we don't complete it, put it in the drawer, and then open it up a year later and say, hey, we missed our goals. We actually pull it out monthly, if not monthly, at least quarterly, and review and adjust according to the market. For example, this big market swing that we've had recently will cause a lot of people to revisit their numbers. So I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and dive in, Tony. I'm going to give it
Well,
back
we'll
to you
get there.
here.
Yeah. So let me ask you, 200 million in sales, 90 agents on your productive team, right? What about your whole sales organization expounds beyond that as well, right? So
Yeah, and the 200 million, our run rate is higher than that. Remember, we just doubled in size. We hit Mega Icon this year, and so immediately we just clocked it up and went from 45 agents to about 90 in just a few months. And then as far as rev share, been very blessed to kind of be joining at everything worked out. It was a perfect storm for me. I'd made a lot of relationships over the years, and then Glenn's opportunity presented itself, and I was just really in a great place in my life and well positioned to help grow the brokerage. And so I've been able to bring some really great talent and attractors to the company. We're up to my group is up to 12,000 agents now, and I think that's number 5. Elizabeth Riley's going to try to catch me and pass me. I just passed her. We fight for that 5th position all the time and help each other. So it's a friendly competition. But I've got agents all over the country and all over the world right now, as well as Canada. So it's just been, like I said before, it's been a life changer for our family.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, amazing success. Congratulations on your success. But let me ask you, how did you achieve success in sales, 200 million, success in agents, 90, success in your rev share organization, over 10,000 now? What is it that, was that an accident, or did you plan for that success?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually, when I joined, I have a lot of faith. And I think there's people who have fear. They have fear thinking about the future. Once you get into the future and you're actually doing the future, that fear goes away. You're too busy working. And when I started at EXP, I could tell I could do the math. And we had a revenue share calculator back then, and we were all staying up at night,
Makes it hard to sleep. Yeah, it makes it hard to sleep.
We have a name for it now. It's called EXP insomnia. But
that's
I mean, I literally would stay up at night just dreaming about how big my rev share group would be. And, it reminds me, I remember growing up when Mark Spitz was swimming for his 8th gold medal in the Olympics in, I think it was 80. I don't remember what year. It might have been 80. And might have been earlier than that, but nonetheless, a reporter was interviewing him, asking him if he ever dreamed, in his wildest dreams, if he ever thought that he would be standing about to get up on the ramp to walk out there and go swim the IM for his 8th gold medal. And he paused just briefly, and he said, when I was about 6 years old, I had a vision that one day I'd be swimming for multiple medals. So yes, I did think about it, and I did have a vision. And most people who get where they are, they get very far, they have a vision. And a vision is nothing more than a dream with a deadline. But if you don't have a deadline on it and you're not committed to it, then it's unlikely that you're going to reach it. But all the successful people that I know, and I bet if I asked you, did you ever have think that you would be where you are, managing I think we're the 2nd largest state in EXP
for now. For now.
And for now, I love that. and what would you say? I mean, you probably started out with humble beginnings like myself, but somebody spoke a word to you and got you to think and to dream. And that's why you are where you are. This life is intentional. You have to live life intentionally rather than just let it happen to you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what this entire segment is going to be about, right? And planning your success journey. What does success look like? Because and even in the marketing for this, one of the things I said is that you are going to fail, right? It is 100% accurate. You will fail if you don't have a plan to get there, right? Because even if you do succeed, you won't know it because you never had a plan. How will you know that you've achieved success? How will you know that you have hit whatever your goal is when you didn't have a goal to begin with? So, I want to break a lot of this down. You have so much great content, so much information. And part of the reason why I asked you to come, Cliff, is I heard such incredible things from your team, from some of the stuff that you did a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago with your team. And I was like, will you please come share this with the real estate community at large, right? There's not just EXP agents here. There are agents from multiple brokerages that are on this call and going to be watching it for probably months and years to come. So let's break it down. Where do we start with our goal planning?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tony. A lot of people just get out the calculator and start crunching numbers. I really think you got to work on that 5.5 or 6 inches between your ears first.
Wow.
And what we do is, we ask our agents to complete an exercise called the turning point. And the turning point is essentially a very deep self introspection. There's a copy of it into you and your business. In order to know where you want to go, you've really got to have a great handle on where you are and where you're, where you need to build, where you need to do things in your business. So what we talk about is in the clarity report, we talk about how are you going to differentiate yourself in a market where most real estate agents are considered commodities. Um, Most buyers and sellers don't put a whole lot of research into the agent that they hire. On the buyer side, if you're the first one to call back and you have a car and a key, super key, chances are you're going to get the job. On the listing side, it's a little different because it's competitive and the sellers are actually writing a check for your services and for the other agent services. So they put you through a little more scrutiny. So when you do get that opportunity, you'd better be able to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Just remember, money flows to differentiation. Okay. Money flows to differentiation. So that may be, for example, we have a Deluxe 360 listing program for luxury. We have, you don't have to go to Spain to get a cash offer on your home, by the way. You can come right to Cliff, www.cliffordismyhomeboy.com, and we'll get you a cash offer on your home. But these are things where when you do your marketing and you meet with people, there's something different about you that makes you stand out from the rest of the herd. The second thing in the clarity report deals with prioritization. I know that you were sort of seeking the magic bullet here. What's the one thing that everybody needs to do in their business to be successful? I'd like permission to give you two things that you need to do and do very well. And
Absolutely.
this has to do with priorities. The first one, Tony, would be time management. You have to be a ninja time manager in this business in order to succeed. We're all given 86,000 plus here and there, a few seconds a day by the good Lord. And it's how we use those seconds that will determine where we wind up. And people like Bill Gates and the president of the United States and people who are highly successful do a really good job of managing their time in those 86,000 seconds. The second thing that you need to be good at is implementation. In real estate, there are a lot of systems that you're going to be creating and implementing. And so you've really got to embrace the idea of implementation. And so those are the two key things. Now, back to the turning point document here. We actually ask our agents to go find a quiet place, a library, not Starbucks, but maybe a park where they can go sit out and take water and something to eat, because we want them to block out about 4 hours to go through this document. And it will take them all the way through their business from marketing. It helps them think about and identify the weaknesses and the strengths. We'll do a SWOT analysis as well, but it helps them come up with the areas in which they really need to focus, which we can then build a strategic plan around. So this is done at the individual level. We expect agents to do this and commit to putting 100% effort into creating this document. Once they've done that and they've gone through the process and the exercise, and there's more in here. There's all about marketing and Jay Abraham's questions about strategic marketing. But it's all designed, again, to help you realize the potential for what you can do with your business, because many people just they don't realize the potential. They just start in a very small box and they don't get out of it. So that's really the purpose of the Turning Point document. Now, once they've completed this, we ask them to send it in to us, and we review it with them and help them and sort of go over things before we actually get down to the business planning document itself. And what I like to do is I like to bring in, after everybody's done the Turning Point, then they're all sort of geared up and ready and prepared to actually participate, not just show up for entertainment, but participate in a business planning section where they can add value. They can talk, collaborate, share ideas. We even sometimes put people on the hot seat if they're really good at something. We'll say, okay, share, you got to tell us what you're doing. Help us understand the conversion rates and the marketing process, the prospecting process, whatever. And we do make the business planning a group effort. That's one of the fun things about it. It's a lot more fun to do it that way than it is just to go and, again, try to do it on your own. It's much better to come prepared and then share. So the business planning document, if you want to, do we have that? I think we have a copy.
Yeah, we do. But you're there's so much in here. There's so much. All right, let's back up for just a minute and
Okay.
unpack some of this.
Sure.
Number one, differentiation, right? Niching. And when we had Nolly, Uncle Nolly on here, now we got Uncle Cliff, both telling us the same thing, right? You got to niche to get rich. And I heard someone else say, don't make me niche slap you, right? So you have to, you got to have a niche. You got to be different than what's everyone else is doing in the marketplace. And I think that is going to be so significant going forward with less agents in the industry, right? We see agents that are leaving, they're running for the doors because it's no longer a market where you can just, drop something in the mail or meet, to your point, you meet a buyer at a house and hey, let's just write an offer. And, those days are over. The days where you can just cherry pick and lay out in the street and someone will literally hit you with their car and say, hey, I'll buy a house from you. That doesn't happen anymore. We are going to have to get competitive. You're going to have to separate yourself. You're going to have these niches. You're going to have marketing. You're going to have an incredible degree of value. You're going to have to know what your superpower is. That's one of the classes, that our team teaches is, hey, what is your superpower? If you don't know what that is, if you can't answer that question instantaneously, then you've got a problem, and you've got to answer that before you can go on to anything else. Before you can go into this other marketing, you have to know what your superpower is. You have to know what value you and only you bring to the marketplace. And sometimes it is similar to what other folks are doing, but they're just not saying it. So you say it, right? Make this laundry list of things that you are going to do for a client that is so much different and that can be built upon, right? And sell your value. You're going to have to sell yourself again as an agent. And I think we are going to see a thinning of the herd as we've been seeing here in the shifting market.
Yeah, we talk, and I try to encourage agents to think about articulating their value.
Yes.
And I mean, we do a lot of role play. There's some people who think that role play is they're either afraid because they're afraid to fail. And by the way, there isn't, let's just agree right now, there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. Only feedback. And when you get in, don't be afraid to role play. When you get into a role play with someone, it's iron sharpens iron. Look at it this way, Tony. Are you a golfer? I bet you are, aren't you?
I am not a golfer. I'm not a golfer.
Okay.
I'm a runner. I'm a lifter. I do some other stuff, but golfing ain't my thing yet. Not
Well,
yet. I'm not there yet.
all right. So when you get ready, I'll tell you the quickest way to learning how to hit the golf ball correctly
Do it
is to
wrong.
have a coach.
Yeah.
Always important, have a coach, but video your golf swing so that you can break it down and see exactly what's going on, and you can learn to correct those things that you need to. Now, think about how that applies to the real estate business and scripts and dialogues. In order to be able to internalize scripts and dialogues, you have to repeat over and over and over until like you could lay in bed at night and articulate your value to anything. I mean, you literally, you've internalized it. And so you don't even have to think about it. It's the highest level of learning and understanding. It's that unconscious competence where you just start opening your mouth and it comes out. That's what practice will do. And in real estate, practice is everything. Agents in the last probably 14 years have been really more order takers than they have salespeople. On the
Wow.
listing side, it's been the three P's, put a sign in the yard, put it on MLS and pray that it sells. And it's that, and it does every time. I mean, it's just been an easy, cheesy, peasy market. On the buy side, there's such buyer demand. I mean, you could stand on the corner of a street with a cardboard sign and pick up clients that way. Free list of hot houses. Follow me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what we're moving into is a market where you've really got to earn you've got to earn your business by upping your skill set and upping your confidence. I had somebody tell me early on, Tony, when I was getting into the business, that your success will be determined by three primary factors. Number one is your product knowledge. You have to know the market, you have to know the houses and the areas that you're selling. And that'll be about 15% of your success. The next thing is going to be your product knowledge. Now, sorry, let me back up. Your sales skills. Product knowledge is first, and then sales skills. And that's how well, like, you can articulate your value. How do you do on the phone? What is it that can you get somebody across the finish line and get them to put an offer in on a house? So sales skills amount to about 25%. But the most important thing that you can bring to the table when you go meet, for example, a seller over at their house, is walking in that door sharp as a tack, enthusiastic, and a force and a confidence level that carries the whole listing presentation. Your confidence level will be 60% of your success when you go out and do these things. So that's what we try to really encourage people is you get confidence by repeating an action and making it a habit, forming it into your head. So you get that, again, that unconscious competence. And it's only done one way, and that's through practice.
That's right. And I think that, you bring up a great point as well, Cliff, with mentoring and the importance of coaching, the importance of having someone there to, lock arms with you and help you on this path to success at any level of business. If you have a 4-figure business, we want to help you get to 5. If you got a five-figure business, helping you get to 6. You got a 6, we want to help you get to 7 and on up, right? And whatever level you're at, find someone that's at that next level and learn from them. And that's the important thing. And I was reading a recent study that, kind of blew my mind, and they had 2 different doctors, right? And it was a study, so there were multiple. And what they did was they took a look at physicians that had went through training, and had all the same credentials, went to all the same classes, had all the same things. And then they had another group of physicians that did that, but they also had a mentor. They also did an internship with an actual physician. And the ones that had the mentorship, the ones that did the interning, the ones that, had this apprentice type relationship with an actual practicing physician, and they did it with lawyers too, they were so far beyond, coming back 3 years, 5 years later, they were so far beyond their peer group that did not attach themselves to a coach, to a mentor, to physically walk with them, that they can observe and just model that success, to your point. So that's so important to find, whether it's a team lead, whether it's your broker, whether it's whomever you have to reach out to, find someone that has achieved success at that level and then duplicate that success.
You got to fly a lot of second seat before you get the big chair on the 747, right? Isn't that what they
That's
say?
right. That's right. That's absolutely right. So back, and I want to go back to this document here. You also mentioned prioritization, and I'm presuming, and that's kind of where we're talking about mastering your schedule, right? And becoming a time master, a time ninja.
Exactly.
That's key, right? And what is it that you encourage agents to spend that time doing, right? How does a day look like for a agent on your team that's crushing it?
Well, and this, this is where we have to talk about delegation. And a lot of independent agents, when you talk about managing their day and delegating, they go, well, I don't have anybody to delegate to. I don't have an assistant. I don't. Well, so what you can do is you can delegate your calendar to times where your high priority, your high level activities are the ones that get done in prime time, and the low level activities get done where you have gaps or holes in your schedule, or even the weekends, perhaps, where, like, if you've got to get caught up on CE, for gosh sakes, folks, don't take CE classes from 4 to 7 on Thursdays. You need to be on the phone calling prospects and suspects on Thursdays between 4 and 7. Do not use that prime time to go and do something that you could do on the weekend, or even, I was going to say, in your sleep, but almost in your sleep. And that's how we delegate to the calendar. So again, if you will put a dollar amount next to every activity that you perform during the day, that will tell you if you're prioritizing correctly. Darren Hardy wrote a book called The Compound Effect, and in that book, he did a study with some CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and he asked the CEOs to wear a stopwatch around their neck for a week. And the purpose was, anytime they were doing something that was dollar producing, meetings were not considered dollar producing. Dollar producing were activities that were going to either create shareholder wealth or bring orders into the business, dollar producing activities. And every time that they were doing a dollar producing activity, they would start the stopwatch. And when they finished, they would stop the stopwatch. Do you realize that the average time in a week that CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies in this study, the average amount of time that they spent doing dollar producing activities was only a little over an hour a week?
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Wow.
So as an agent, you need to have a minimum of 2 hours of prospecting a day in your calendar, and the rest of it should be filled with, hopefully, appointments and those things. By the way, what is the highest, ROI that an agent can? What is the activity that generates the highest ROI for an agent? Well, it would have to be a listing presentation, right? Going out and getting a listing. When you get hired, that's when you earn the most amount of money. You have a pretty good certainty of getting that home sold, and the work involved is probably about a quarter of what it would take to go and spend your time with the buyer. We always say that you can work with about 4 listings to every buyer. You can carry 4 listings compared to working with one buyer and spend about the same amount of time. So you've heard Tom Ferry say you've got a list to last. We know that listings have babies, right?
Yep.
There's other
Yep.
business that comes from listings. So right now, that's what we're really focused on teaching our agents is how to go out and be top listers in their market.
The agents that win listings own the market. That's how you get your market share. That's how you dominate. If you win listings, you win the game. Period. In real estate, that's what it boils down to. So,
Amen.
could not agree more. Wonderful. So, anything else on the turning point, Doc, or are we ready to take us
Yeah,
deeper?
well, we didn't talk about optimization, and
Okay.
really, those are the things that what we learned from differentiating ourselves, then becoming, making our calendar, prioritizing, and so forth. We want to optimize our business, and that includes a good mix. We don't want to be just 100% seller heavy. We want to have a mix, in the event of a market shift, and to diversify our income. We want to have a reasonably balanced business. Too many people are just all buyers. So we really work most on getting buyer agents up to the next level to become listing agents. But the optimization has to do with planning. And when I say optimizing, we're starting to talk about growth. And how do we manage the growth? What's the optimal way? What's the first hire? What's the second hire? How do we know as we grow this business, this thing, how do we get through that messy middle? Going from 12 to say 100 transactions is much, much harder than going from 100 to 250.
Yeah.
Because you have to build all that infrastructure. Once you have all your people in place with a back end and buyer agents and so forth, it's much easier to scale. For example, it was very easy for us to scale from 45 to 90 agents. That was because we already had everything in place. But we fought like heck, when we got started, to make the right hires. And that part of the business is the toughest part, in my opinion, is finding the right people for those key spots. And that's where, when it comes to optimization, that's where hiring and those types of issues really get to be important. And most people don't even have a hiring process. So,
Yeah.
we help them build and develop a hiring process to be able to move forward and build a team.
So what I'm hearing, and just to paraphrase, not that you need paraphrasing, but breaking it down so I can understand it. What we're talking about here is leverage, right? And we're leveraging people, we're leveraging processes, we're leveraging technologies in some cases to be able to make that next step and to make that next corner of your business be more profitable, and kind of moving that forward. And not to be redundant, but how important is it to have a mentor, a coach, someone that is at that 5-figure or 6-figure or 7 or 8, 9-figure business that can show you, hey, these are the systems, these are the tools, these are the things that I'm utilizing that took me from 7 to 8, or from what have you. So absolutely incredible. I think that's clutch key, and I appreciate that. Anything else on this doc before we move on? We got a lot. We listen, and before we transition here, like, share, subscribe. I think Cliff's already given $200 million worth of worth of value already, and we're only a half an hour in. Goodness gracious! Buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, are we ready to go deeper, Cliff? Like,
Sure,
share,
yeah,
subscribe, please. All right.
you got it.
What's the next doc?
Well, we can look at the business plan. Some of the other collateral material that I asked you to hang on to, we'll get to here. Let me just start by explaining. So I really believe that having a great relationship with a coach or coaching company it's a very important thing to do. If you look at the top athletes, the top anything, even the top business people have coaches. You don't get to the highest level and self-actualize and be, we used to say join the army, be all that you can be. That was, remember those commercials back in the day? But the reality is that you'll never get to the top of where you want to be without the help of somebody who knows how to get you there. And in real estate, it couldn't be more true. And the numbers prove it out every single time. If you look at the top teams at our brokerage, they all have very deep relationships with coaches who help them do everything from, a lot of it is built around people. And one thing I'll just reiterate, Tony, is, the longer you're in this business and the bigger you get, the most of the issues that you wind up dealing with on a daily basis center around people. They're people issues. And so one of the things that we start with business planning is really developing a set of core values that represent your DNA. And what that allows you to do, once you define yourself with core values and a mission statement, I tell people, look, you don't have to worry about people making decisions. If you've hired everyone and they're a core value fit and they are 100% on board with your mission statement, you don't have to worry about them making bad decisions because they'll make decisions that reflect the core values. And so, you realize that 99% of the problems that we have with mishires are actually a misfit of core values. That is
Wow.
what, once you can understand that, then you realize how important this part of defining your business really is. And some of you out there in the audience may say, well, look, I'm a brand new agent. I don't know why do I need core values? What's the thing about core values? And this is what I would tell you. You need to start thinking today about what kind of culture you're going to build in your organization. The core values will help you define the culture. If you look at great companies that have a great culture, like Apple and Google and Harley Davidson and Zappos, when Zappos was around, people would take a bullet for their companies. I mean, they were there, they weren't the highest paid, but they were the stickiest, most loyal employees that you can find. And it's not, guys, it's not about the money all the time. It's all about the culture and the community. That's what people want to be a part of. And so as you're starting out, even as a new agent, I want you to begin, as Jim Collins would say, begin with the end in mind. Go ahead and create that Mark Spitz vision of you running a $200 million team doing, 700 transactions or whatever the number is, because it starts with a dream. You can take that dream and create a vision. Remember, a dream and a deadline equals a vision. So you got to start dreaming, and then the whole process, this is why strategic planning is so important, because that's what enables you to take that vision and then create it. Okay. So again, core values, super important. Mission and statement, know what you're about, know what you're doing, and start building that culture from day one.
Wow. Wow. No, that's incredible. And I think that the um process of goal setting plays such a critical piece of everything that you're mentioning here. And I think that one of the things that really helps agents is when they define specifically what it is they're looking for in writing, put the captions around and say, I'm going after this, but starting, to your point, internally, right, working from the inside out. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business. I love what our CEO Glenn says. Hey, we're not a real estate company. We're a personal development company that just so happens to sell real estate, right? So we
Right.
should be always working on ourselves internally, and then that will exude out and then to our team, and then as you begin to grow that way. So that's incredible point, and I'm glad you brought that up. One of the most common things that agents ask me when I'm out and about, as much as I try to be, they ask me, well, hey Tony, I'm brand new, what do I need to do? And it's a simple question, or it should be a simple answer, but I usually will turn that around and I'll say, what do you want, right? Because if you don't know what you want, there's no one that can help you get there, right? And they usually stop and they pause and they say, I don't know. And I say, well, hey, hit me on workplace chat, call me once you figure out what you want, and then I'll help you get there, right? And that's always the dialogue that I have with a new agent, or when agents or at any business level come to me and ask, hey, how do you do this and how do you do this? What do you want, right? It
Right.
reminds me of the conversation that Alice had with the Cheshire Cat, right? Way back, Alice in Wonderland, right? And she says, well, where do I go? Right. And I'm paraphrasing, but he's, well, where do I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, well, where is it that you're trying to get? And she says, well, I don't know. I just want to get away from here. And the Cheshire Cat says, well, it doesn't matter which way you go then, because either way you go,
Right.
you're either way you go, you're not going to be here anymore. Right. So
Exactly.
it's about defining for ourselves and for our agents, for our teams, where it is we're trying to go. And then that, to your point about culture, that focuses everyone's energy in that one place. It focuses everyone's energy, and that's how you rally as a team. That's how you get that ethos, that culture that really can take over and dominate once you know everyone's paddling, rowing in the same direction, and it starts with
Yeah.
this plan. That's why
Yeah.
businesses fail. That's why they succeed.
Well, and I know we're specifically talking about business planning, but when I have new agents come on board, one of the books we give them is Start with Why. It's Simon Sinek's
Yes.
book, and
Yes.
so this sort of gets into that mindset thing. And if you don't enter real estate with the right mindset, you may be better off, rather than getting your head beat against the wall every day and getting 1,000 no's and having to wait 6 months for a check and all of the kind of things that can happen to you in real estate. You may be better off just getting a job as a bank teller at Bank of America. At least you get a steady paycheck and benefits, and you don't even get that with real estate. So I tell
Well,
people,
you can.
if you're going to get into real estate, you need to kill it. Don't get in here just to make 60, 70,000, 100, or $150,000. That's not it. It's not worth it. Okay. If you're going to work as hard as you need to your first years, you better start adding another zero onto the income that you want to make, right?
Yep.
And what is it that's going to get you out of bed to go and face all of the adversity and all of the negatives and everything else that you're going to have to deal with? Not just a market like we have, but sellers who think their house is worth more than it is, buyers who are trying to lowball every deal that you take them to see. I mean, this is a hard business. And so if you're going to do it, you've really got to have the right mindset. And so that's why, I looked back, I've got 100 or almost 200 podcasts, I believe, we're working on now with Cliff's Notes. And I went back and looked at some of the top producers that we had on our show. And what I found was a common thread, Tony, and that was each of those people had been to a place in life. They'd been down under that rock, and it was a place they never wanted to go back to. I had a pastor one time say, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom before you figure who the rock is at the bottom.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Right? And I'm not going to preach, but
Listen, are we gonna listen?
what I will say is
don't make me start shouting. Come on now.
yeah. What I will say is your why is what can make you lift a 4,000-pound car off of somebody that's underneath it when the car's on fire. That's what a big why can do. It'll get your ass out of bed and get you on the phone prospecting when you need to be, when you're doing it because you need to get your child in for surgery and you ain't got the money for it. Okay. I mean, I used to watch, who was it that said, you got to want it more than you want to breathe.
Yeah.
It's like you being held underwater for a minute and a half and you want to get up and get oxygen. That's how bad you got to want it to be in this business. And if you're not there, then, and what we're seeing, you mentioned the thinning of the herd, and that's exactly what's happening. All of the people who don't have a big enough why, who aren't willing to put the work in, because guys, it's not about you have to have a special talent. You can learn everything you need to be successful in real estate, but you've got to show up with a fire in the belly and you've got to show up ready to play at an NFL level. If you'll do that, I'll guarantee you, especially if you're on my team and if you're doing what you need to be doing, you have to try to fail. And again, I say it's only feedback, but some people, if you just don't show up, you will fail. And that's the only thing that's holding you back is you just don't have a big enough why.
Wow. Wow. Goodness, I didn't plan on getting into personal development and sermon and all that stuff today. But yeah, you're 100% right in that, you start with the why, which I love that book. You start with why, and then you get into how, right? And when the why is big enough, I think it's Tony Robbins, right? When the why is big enough, the how becomes easy. Right. You can always figure out a way to get where you're going, but you got to start with the why. Then you go to the what really, what do I want? And then how do I get there? Right. So right now we're kind of in the middle of that of what do I want? And then defining how we can get there. Right. So back to the business plan. We're coming off the pulpit here. What do we got next business plan wise? Let's spend the next majority of the time we have together digging deep into the business plan.
Yeah, well, we talked earlier, Tony, about how important relationships with coaches are. And I was about to mention that one of the things that I did early on, knowing that you've got to provide the best training possible, is I reached out to a friend of mine, Verl Workman, and explained that I was looking for a solution where something that I could scale, something with leverage, that would be the best training possible that I could afford for new agents coming on. And now, look, I know we've got great training at EXP, and we've got icons, people that sell a ton of business, but I kind of wanted something that I could personally get involved in every week. And so I got a master license with Verl for his workman success training that is actually online, and it's 4 modules. And Verl is one of those guys, and he and I just happen to be a good fit. There's some other really wonderful coaches. For real estate, you could go pick, cherry pick whoever you
Oh
want.
yeah, there's a
But the
lot.
main thing is that go find somebody who's knows more about what you're going to get into than you do, so that they're going to shine a light for you, a flashlight, to help you see clearly where you need to go. But Verl is kind enough and generous enough to make this business plan workbook available. So anybody who wants a copy of this can get it either directly from Verl or Tony. If you want to share this, you can. It's
Absolutely.
Verl is, this is something he built for just to help the real estate community, and I think it really does a great job in helping us hit all of the points that we need to hit when we're building a business plan. So we can go ahead and, yeah, you see in here, there's the strategic plan, your own personal objectives. Sorry. Again, I talked about core values and a mission statement earlier. Then we get into the SWOT analysis, and everybody probably knows that SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we look at both internal and external things that will impact our ability to succeed. And remember, you've got to have an internal locus of control. You can't just worry about what's going on with interest rates or inventory or that kind of stuff. You've got to focus on things that you can change and not worry. By the way, worry is a sin. Okay, stop it. If you're worried, stop it. But you've got to focus on those things that you can change, not just those things that are out there impacting your business. Then we go in and do some math. And again, guys, real estate is just a math problem. It's proven. If you just have enough conversations and make enough contacts with people who are going to be buying or selling a home, you will, if you're doing everything else right, you will get business. And that's what we talk about. Then we go into the 4 pillars of income. And again, this really doesn't take the EXP route. This really focuses on the 4 pillars of marketing and prospecting that you're going to focus on next year. Then we go in deeper into the marketing plan. There's a goal achievement system in here that helps you not just write the goal, but it's the who, how, and the when, and it'll help you all the way to the end. And then the sprint is just, what are the things I need to get done quickly? We'll go through and put those down. And then lastly, we want to make sure that money is really important when you're running a real estate business. I've seen agents spend themselves broke with Zillow and other lead sources, and you've got to really take a business approach to your real estate business and understand cash flow. And that's what that budget worksheet will help you do, is it'll hopefully help you avoid the pitfalls of overspending or spending money on the wrong things. And guys, audience, please hear me. This is where most agents fail. This is why you've got to have a mentor. When I coach my agents, I say, look, I'm the chairman of your board, and anything that you want to spend in excess of $200, you need to clear directly through me.
I love it.
And
I
that
love it.
puts a stop to it right there. Okay. And then we go through and I ask them for their credit card statements, and we go through and look at all of the recurring charges they have on there for crap that they don't use. And
Yeah.
we just start getting rid of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
I
some
think,
stuff they shouldn't use, right? If they've got Netflix and they've got, Hulu and all this other stuff, Disney and on there, and they don't have a successful real estate business yet.
well, it's not just that, but they'll have 15, they got sold 15 different lead gen
That too.
opportunities, and none of them are working for them. So, all
Right.
right,
Which ones are producing? Yeah.
let's figure out, let's just build this wall one brick at a time, is as Bruce, or is it Will Smith says, and we're going to build each brick perfectly and then go from there. You don't just go slapping bricks up and hope it turns into a wall. You got to be strategic about it.
Will Smith slapping a lot of stuff lately. So let's look at the I want to look at the SWOT analysis, right? Or the
That
sprint.
should be
The
on about
sprint.
page. Oh, the
Well,
sprint
the
here.
sprint, yes. So can you unpack sprint for us?
Yeah. So this is where, and I these kind of, in a way, these you could kind of consider these to be impact zones. But so you have a goal, like for example, you want to have a balanced business, 50% sellers and 50% buyers. Well, in order to do that, if you do the math, then you realize you're going to have X number of leads generated. So this is for implementation.
Yes.
So if you don't have those lead sources already in place, then your action item is going to be to identify what are the lead sources and the cost that I'm going to need to acquire in order to generate the number of leads, or what activities am I going to have to do? What habits am I going to have to create? What high level activities am I going to have to put in my calendar in order to get this goal where it needs to be? Okay. So that would be, for example, like I said, you want to balance. So then my action item might be, okay, I'm going to start door knocking once a week around, or let me back up. I'm going to start doing 4 open houses a weekend. I'm going to do one Saturday morning, one Saturday afternoon, and I'm going to do one Sunday morning and one Sunday afternoon until I've got more leads than I can service.
Wow.
And then I'm going to break it down. And then action item around those open houses, I'm going to implement the mega open house strategy, which means I'm going to send out 100 postcards the day, or deliver 100 postcards, knock on doors, welcome the neighbors, say, hey, come on and help me find your new neighbor. Your neighbor's moving. We want to get you somebody in there really good. Stop by, come by and see me. By the way, do you happen to be contemplating a move in the next 6 months? Okay. I mean, when you have a listing, you have a billboard, and then you have the ability to show off your marketing to everybody in that neighborhood. And you ought to have everybody coming in that neighborhood to your open houses to see how well you run them and how many people you get to turn out. Because who do you think at the end of the day those neighbors are going to hire? Are they going to hire somebody that comes by with a slick 89-point marketing program like everybody else has? Are they going to hire somebody who's actually out there doing what they say and drawing big crowds and selling houses for literally for more money in less time? Right? So you got to walk the walk. You got to do it. Eat
How
your own
many
bark, right?
how many signs should go out at open house?
Yeah. I mean, look, we recommend no less than 25, but it just depends on where the house is. Sometimes you're going to have issues with HOAs and things like that. Open house signs are disposable items. You're
Yeah.
going to lose them. They're going to pick them up. Your competition's going to pick them up just to make you mad. It doesn't matter. Go order them 1,000 at a time. Go get a bunch of them. And then that way you won't care. But you need to put enough signs out there that it's almost like, make it so that it's like, how when the ambulance drives by and you're on the road and the temptation is to turn and follow the ambulance to go see the car accident. You want to have so many signs out there that people can't escape it. And also you want to have some reason for them to go. Tell them free list of recently reduced homes. Stop by and get a list of Cliff's top 10 in Bent Tree West, best 10
Wow.
listings, that kind of thing. So you want to create an event. It's not just an open house. It's an event where you get to show off your marketing. Don't just sit there and timidly ask people to sign in, and when they don't, go, oh, it's okay, you don't have to sign in, go ahead. Hey, listen, in order for you to get access to this person's house, they require that they know who you are, okay,
Right.
for safety and for insurance. You wouldn't want to have people you don't know running through your house. And so all we ask is that if you would just sign in here, show us a copy of your driver's license. It's required by our E&O insurance or whatever GL insurance, whatever story you want to tell them, that's fine. But you're going to get their contact information, right?
That's
And
funny.
and then learn the scripts and dialogues for open houses. That's where a lot of people fail, is they just don't ask. They don't ASK, and they don't GET. If you don't ASK, you don't GET. So learn the scripts for the open houses.
That's incredible, and I think that you make a great point. The open house signs that go out are not only for this event, right? It is an event, and you need to look like an event, but they're not only for that. This is free advertising to everyone in the neighborhood. So why do you not have one on every single corner in that entire subdivision? I'm blown away sometimes
Yeah,
with the marketing. So great.
absolutely.
What else? Oh, and let me ask, before I ask you the big question. What else do we need to know as we're kind of rounding out and hitting our time? I knew that we weren't going to get to like a fraction of this, so we got to get you back. But what else do we need to know about business planning?
Yeah,
And your secrets for your team and
yeah.
for anyone that's watching this. What do they need to know about planning for 2023?
Yeah. So a lot of people look at planning as just an exercise that they have to do because somebody told them they have to do it. And again, they'll take it and throw it in their top desk drawer and just forget about it for 12 months until a year goes by and they go, "Oh, I remember doing this. Wow, things sure changed. Man, this is
Yeah,
nothing like what it looks like now,"
it's
that kind
awesome.
of thing.
Yeah,
And as I said, this is a living, breathing document that you need to run your business regularly. And if you're not having meetings, planning meetings, strategic planning meetings, at least quarterly, preferably, you ought to be going over your P&L. And if you don't have accurate numbers coming into your business, even if you're an independent agent, hire a bookkeeper if you don't have time to do it. You have got to have a handle on whether you're making money, not making money. What tends to happen is new agents especially become what I call hoarders. And what I mean by that is every time they make a commission, they take the whole commission check and they put it under their mattress. They don't reinvest anything into their business, Tony.
yeah,
And
yep.
that's not the way this business works. This is like any other business. You should budget at least 10 to 15% of your income, especially when you're starting, toward marketing and prospecting. If you don't have the tools like Vulcan 7 or Red X, you got to save up money for that stuff. It just doesn't come free. If you need a lead, if you need to go spend money on pay-per-click or Facebook ads, you got to have a budget. And again, that's why the budget at the end of the exercise is so important, because we want to be sure that you do have enough money to go out and execute. And if you're a hoarder and you just put all your commission money in the Christmas bucket, and then you're not going to have anything to grow your business. And
Wow.
so please start from day one, again, treating your real estate business like a real estate business. And be honest. When you make this plan, I'm going to ask you, are you willing to commit to do the work that you set forth in this plan? I'll never have to fire anybody, Tony.
They fire themselves.
They're going to fire themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to walk into the office and I'm going to call them in and I'm going to say, I'm looking at your production and it's nowhere near what you agreed that you would produce here. What's going on? Should I take this as your resignation?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you committed to it, right? So I never have to fire anybody.
That's right. I run my business on a spreadsheet, right?
That's
And I
it.
love how Jim Rohn talks about. It's like he's got a box, and you're supposed to make 10 sales calls. It's one simple question: how many calls did you make? That's it. And then he starts with well. And he's like, well won't fit in my box here. The
Right.
reason the reason why, and he starts with a story, and it's like, the reason why I made this box so small on the spreadsheet is so a story won't fit. The only thing that fits in this box is a number. You're supposed to make 10 sales calls. How many did you make? It's a very simple thing. It only fits numbers in there. So and guess what? The number tells the whole story. I don't need the story. I need the number, and I know what the story is, right? So that's it, and that's where this planning, to bring it all home, that's where this whole thing comes from. And we're at Pinnacles, developing a plan, actionable and specific, measurable goals. How many
Smart goals.
listings do you want to obtain? That's it. How many listings do you want to obtain? How many sales is it going to take you to get there? If it's a dollar amount number or a volume number, how many appointments do you need to go on, and how many leads do you need to get to those appointments? That is kind of what it looks like. And as you go through, you reach out, you find those mentors, you find the people, the team leads, the mentors, the coaches, the brokers, whoever you need to find that can help you, that has seen that and can see it for you, right? And plug into those individuals. To recap as well, Cliff said that we got to set goals that will make something of you to achieve them. I think it was
Yeah.
Gene Frederick. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you wouldn't do a DIY kidney transplant. And, if you look at real estate, you definitely, if you go through trying to do a real estate career without a mentor or a great coach, your odds of success are so much lower
Right.
than somebody who's willing to invest in themselves.
Right.
So you've got to do this. You've got to invest in self-development. You've got to invest in a really good real estate coach and coaching program, and commit. This business can change your life only if you're going to be willing to do the work. But there's
Absolutely.
no better business in the world that I can think of where you can make this much money with such a small investment on the front end. And it really just goes down to, how much you want it. That's
That's
it.
it. That's it. I think that's a great place to end us off. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cliff. A couple things, I guess. Number one, how can agents get a hold of that business planning? Is that on your website, or do they get that from the individual that made it? Or
You know what? I honestly, you can download it from Verl's website. Can I shoot you a link that you can put in the comments
absolutely, we will
after you
absolutely do
publish
that.
this? And
Yep.
that's how we can get people to the
Wonderful.
business plan.
And
Yeah.
then you're doing a live one of these right in January. So anyone's free to come, and that's an actual workshop, right? Do
Yep.
you have
Yeah.
the,
We're
the
going to take.
details on that yet, or are you going to blast
Uh,
that out?
Yeah, we don't have the details yet, but it'll be sometime in January. We're going to give people a chance to get past the holidays and stuff, so that they come back and they're not distracted, and they can really get down and commit to a 2023 business plan. But I don't have the exact dates and times yet, Tony. But I'll be sure I share that with you when we get everything locked down.
Absolutely. And how can folks follow you, get a hold of that information when you're ready to get it out there?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. It's pretty easy to find me if you just Google the Cliff Freeman Group or Cliff Freeman Realtor. I should pop right up there, and I'd love to hear from anybody who feels like they, like to discuss something, maybe confidentially, or just get some pointers. I'm always open to spending time with people in need. So just reach out and let me know how I can serve.
Absolutely. I love it. My final point, as we know, when I close this thing out, just remember, Cliff has done this. I've done this. There's so many agents around you that have done this, that have been successful. And just remember that you're right. Now, whether you think you can do this as well, you're right. If you think you can't do it, you're also right. If you got an excuse, hey, you can keep your excuse, but you can't keep the success either, right? So you can either choose your excuse or choose success. Either way, you're right. If you say you can't do it, if you say you can, you're right. Remember that. I've done it. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Crush it. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Cliff's happy to help. He's giving you his contact information. EXP agents, of course, you can always reach me on Workplace Chat. Everybody else, LinkedIn, at Tony D. King on LinkedIn. But everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you so much for plugging in. Don't forget, please like, share, subscribe. If you got value out of this, I don't see how you could not have gotten value out of this. We got a $200 million producer on this call. He just broke it down for us, how he did it. And I may be able to swing something and maybe get him to come back another time. But he's already given so much. Why don't you go and apply what he gave you today, and I'll see if I can get him back. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Bye.